Welcome everyone, I'm Dale and this is Cinema Historia. An imprisoned doctor, a beautiful colonel's niece, and an escape from a cruel island. This week we're going back to 1935 for a swashbuckling pirate film called Captain Blood, starring Errol Flynn, Olivia de Havilland, Basil Rathbone, and Ross Alexander. And this is directed by Michael Curtiz. So, where does our story begin this week? Well, our story begins in England in the year 1685. Irish Dr. Peter Blood, played by Errol Flynn, is summoned to aid Lord Gildoy, a wounded patron who participated in the Monmouth Rebellion. The Royal Army drumhead, finding out of this, arrests Peter Blood while performing his duties as a physician. With other survivors of the rebellion, Peter is taken to the Taunton Castle Hall for their trial. With aiding a wounded rebel, he is convicted of treason against King James II and sentenced to death by the infamous Judge Jeffreys. Upon the advisory of Lord Sunderland's council, the king asked that Peter Blood and the surviving rebels be transported to the West Indies to be sold into slavery. A ship's journey to Port Royal, an English colony, Peter is bought by Arabella Bishop, played by Olivia de Havilland, the beautiful niece of local military commander Colonel Bishop. Attracted to Blood's rebellious nature, Arabella tries to improve his situation by recommending him as physician to the colony's Governor Steed, who suffers from a leg with painful gout. Becoming physician to the governor and being appreciative of Arabella's efforts, Peter's intentions are to develop an escape plan for himself and his fellow prisoners. Being suspicious of one of Blood's men, Jeremy Pitt, played by Ross Alexander, Colonel Bishop angrily flogs and interrogates him. Meanwhile, Blood, Pitt, and the other men are spared by fate when a Spanish man-of-war ship attacks Port Royal. During the raid, Blood and his fellow prisoners seize the Spanish ship from its drunken watch and sail away to begin lives of piracy in 1687. Captain Blood's crew quickly achieved great fame among the buccaneers of the sea, with Blood himself deemed the greatest captain of the coast. So, does the beautiful, love-struck Arabella become endangered? Does a royal emissary to the king become captured by a treacherous French buccaneer? Or with England now at war with France, does Captain Blood and his crew return to Port Royal to save the day? Based on a 1922 novel of the same name by Raphael Sabatini, Raphael was an Italian-born British writer of romance and adventure novels. In 1936, this film received 5 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director for Michael Curtiz, Best Writing Screenplay, Best Sound Recording, and Best Music Score. With a 100% rating from the film critic Rotten Tomatoes, this film was recognized by the American Film Institute's 2001 list for 100 Years, 100 Thrills, its 2003 list for 100 Years, 100 Heroes and Villains, and its 2005 list for 100 years of film scores. And I'm losing it. And our trivia question this week, this is such a big epic, I'm screwing up my lines. This week, our trivia question, was there a fencing champion amongst the stars of our film? Let's see if you can get this one this week. Was there a fencing champion amongst the stars of our film? So a little more history and the answer to our trivia question coming up next. This week for history, we're going to talk about the star of our film, Errol Flynn. So, Errol Flynn was an Australian actor who achieved worldwide fame during the golden age of Hollywood, was best known for his romantic swashbuckler roles, being heroic, daring, and idealistic. Born Errol Leslie Thompson Flynn on June 20th, 1909 in Battery Point, Tasmania, described his family as seafaring folk, appears to be where his lifelong interest in boats and the sea originated. He made one of his first appearances as a performer in 1918 when he served as a page boy in a Queen Carnival. From 1923 to 1925, Flynn attended school in southwest London, returning to Australia in 1926. At the age of 18, seeking fortune in tobacco planting and gold mining, spent the next 5 years living in New Guinea and Sydney. But in 1933, Australian filmmaker Charles Chauvel cast Flynn in the lead role for In the Wake of the Bounty, leading him to travel to Britain in late 1933 to pursue a career in acting. After being an extra in the film I Adore You in 1933, executives agreed to send Flynn to Warner Brothers in Hollywood, recommending him for a contract. On the ship from London, Flynn met actress Lily Damita, whose contacts proved invaluable when Flynn arrived in Los Angeles. After small roles in 2B pictures in 1935, Warner Brothers was preparing a big-budget Swashbuckler that same year, Captain Blood, to be directed by Michael Curtiz. Warner's cast Flynn in the lead role opposite 19-year-old Olivia de Havilland, giving birth to 2 new Hollywood stars, and an on-screen partnership that would encompass 8 films over 6 years. The resulting film was a magnificent success for the studio, meaning huge profits for Warner Brothers. And in 1937, Flynn was the studio's #1 star, #3 in 1938 and 1939, Warner Brothers' #1 top box office draw in 1940 and 1941, and in 1942 he was #2 behind James Cagney and #2 in 1943 behind Humphrey Bogart. Errol Flynn made such film classics as The Adventures of Robin Hood in 1938, Dodge City in 1939, and The Seahawk in 1940, among others. While living a lavish lifestyle, the expression "in like Flynn," coined in reference to his supreme ease of popularity, Flynn himself wanted his memoir to be called "In Like Me," but the publisher insisted on My Wicked, Wicked Ways. Yes, an amazing actor, and he had a lot of fun doing it. And the answer to our trivia question this week: was there a fencing champion amongst the stars of our film? Yes, and it was Basil Rathbone, who played French buccaneer Captain Levasseur. The battle sequence between Blood's pirate crew and the French ships employed one of the largest technical crews assembled for a film requiring 2,500 extras. Basil Rathbone was acknowledged to be the finest fencing actor in Hollywood. He studied fencing in his youth, and during his military service during World War I, twice won the British Army Fencing Championship. Basil also showed his talents in The Adventures of Robin Hood in 1938 and The Mark of Zorro in 1940, among many others. Just amazing. I'd like to give out a big thank you to my new subscribers this week. Thanks very much. And to everyone else, thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope to see you back next week.